open till it shatters through the ocean. I wanna make shockwaves.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, and other fur animals, this is Arinia, and welcome to episode 2 of Kerbal Universe. Now, I'm starting off in real time here in the contracts building because I actually forgot to accept the contracts. So, we're going to accept a few things. We're going to accept this Tiny Tim contract. We're going to accept the leave the launch pad contract, and then we're actually going to go and upgrade the damn mission control center because it is garbage. And you can only accept 2 contracts. We're going to go ahead and flicker, flash, and actually get a meaningful number of contracts here, which I can do with just the 18 tons available on the launch pad, but of course we're going to want bigger rockets later, so we will upgrade that eventually when it wouldn't leave me with 7 funds. Okay, back into the contracts menu, because I'm a ding-dong evidently. R1B, Kerbal, suborbital. Yes, I think we can do that. Launch the A2 test rocket to that altitude, yes. And reach a suborbital trajectory, okay. These are going to be later. The R7 Semi-Orca, I think, is a little bit out of our reach, but Vanguard TV3 should be pretty good. And that gives us till day 97, so we should be good to go. Alright, in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and duck into the Mission Control Center and see what I can build up. So we'll be back with the 4x bug returning, and then get back to work. So stay tuned. First up on our menu of launches today is the R9 space vessel Graceful Dawn. It's going to be the first of our sounding rocket test vehicles that don't use that crappy pod. Here you go. You see me doing a bunch of science. I try and turn on the SAS. No SAS, but the fins keep us decently stable, so I'm able to transmit science, collect the stuff that shouldn't be transmitted, keep it on board, because we actually do have a little parachute in there. And we, of course, continue our run into orbit, assisted by beautiful re-entry noises and the crackling of time acceleration, because I really need to get a better video recording of these. But yeah, it really is interesting. You see it start to wobble there, and I'm not sure what caused that, but however, we lose engine power, and we're not even through 10 kilometers yet. We barely even made it to 11.5, which is not even enough to get high space science. In fact, there we go, we start pitching over it. We didn't even reach 11.5. I've now deployed the parachute, though, and we're pointing in the wrong direction, nose diving toward the ground. I get a little bit concerned that I'm not actually going to be able to fix this, and here in a moment you're probably going to hear me typing, because I actually did leave my microphone on during this particular clip, even though I was intending to time accelerate it. But, whoops. So that will happen, but now we're coming down toward the ground. There's the typing. And in just a moment, the parachute's going to pop. It's going to make an almighty noise. I'm actually going to gasp right there, but we are now descending under parachute at about 7 meters per second or so. I actually can't read the display. However, when we get close to the ground, something interesting happens. So I'm going to turn it over to pass me. That was cool. I didn't even realize that my microphone was on this whole time, but that was cool. Wow. That was impressive. Alright, let's go ahead and deploy all this. I love how it says deploy all except EVA, when there's not actually an EVA I can collect from here. But, hey, we've got the science, so let's go back to the Space Center and see what we do with it. And, of course, with science in hand, that's exactly what we do. We return to the Space Center, and we're able to unlock the first 2 nodes. I would, of course, have hoped to get more, but we didn't get as high as we wanted. So we got back to the Space Center, put in our upgrade points really quick, speed up the VAB, and then begin time accelerating. Finish up the reconditioning, which doesn't take very long, but then it's into flicker, flash, once we actually begin researching the text, of which there are 2. In fact, there it goes. A few flashes. I think we end up in the dark. No, we get a sunrise. We actually get an eclipse there if you saw it for just a moment. And then I actually turn around and realize there are wing pieces I can recover for a few extra funds, and pick those up. There's the last one. Now we've got that done. Of course, we're going to go buy the parts so that we can use them in the next build. And in fact, we step out of recording back into the vehicle assembly building for that next build. So in just a moment, we're going to phase over to the launch pad. In fact, there it is. We're back in 2 times time acceleration. This is R9 space vessel Brave Heart, I believe was the name I gave to this one. And notice how it seems to be flying straighter, because I think... no, we still pitch over, but I was a little bit better with controlling the stuff. Now, what I wanted to do was use a 2-stage design. The first stage burned. Now I've cut it off. I'm coasting upward to let the Mach effects lessen. That way we're not getting unexpected twisting out of control. However, I detach and we immediately begin to spin because this thing doesn't have sass worth a toffee. I'm having to control it myself. Of course, we do get the high atmosphere science, but we don't get to low Kerbal orbit. Or in this case, not even low Kerbal orbit, just low Kerbal space. Because we're just busy flipping out of control, and then we pass through. We pass through Apoaps, we begin our descent, I deploy the parachute, and of course it becomes a game of never say die. I'm determined to try and save this thing, to try and sort of stabilize us. If anything, I wanted to try to push us over the water so we could get some new science, but that just wasn't happening. I did not have enough control of this spacecraft with the probe core that I had. So instead I just settle into burning the engine, slowing it down as much as I can, because what I was really worried about was the parachute on deploying ripping the spacecraft apart. Because that's been known to happen. If the spacecraft is too heavy, the parachute will just pull it apart. The probe core would have slammed into the ground, probably taking the science with it. However, it works. And then we touch down, get an interesting noise, and some more commentary from past me. Let's check it out. Okay, what exploded there? Looks like we lost one of the science ones. Hopefully it wasn't one of the active science ones. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll recover the vessel, go back to the Space Center again, and figure out what we're doing here. And so that's exactly what we do. I was really torn between the survivability node and the stability node. However, as you saw, I ended up going with survivability to get a better probe core, one that actually has SAS on it, so that I can do better and bigger things. Bigger and better things, should probably put that in the right order. Now, really quick, as we phase over to the next launch, I just want to say I know I haven't been getting videos out to you guys as well, but I am working on that. I'm actually back on schedule here. But for now, this is ASV Fierce Lady, and my goal is really to complete the height contract for the R7. The R7 contract. A little history lesson, the R7 was what eventually developed into the Soyuz launch vehicle. It was that same base design. So the R7, in a way, is actually still in use, but the Fierce Lady is not an R7 design. It's just a couple of liquid-fueled stages with the benefit of SAS, and we're flying pretty much straight and true. And I waited for a while, throttled up, probably sooner than I should, and I really want to watch this transition, because you just see the sun fade from yellow to blue as we clear the atmosphere, and that's a really beautiful effect. Continuing our burn, we actually get quite a bit more out of that first stage than I was expecting. I probably could have done with a smaller fuel tank or even one less fuel tank, but if I had been thinking better, I could have tried to put this thing into an orbit, or at least a better suborbital trajectory. And in fact, we basically right off the first stage, igniting the second, because I let it fire too soon, and we've made it into space, as you can tell by the fancy, fancy music. So we're going to go up. I actually decided to try putting this thing into a better trajectory anyway, so I pitch over, time accelerate to Apoaps, and then promptly screw it up, going a little too far before lighting my engine and burning away. But that doesn't get me very far, because I was stupid and didn't think about it in advance. By the way, we come back down at about 110 kilometers. I decide to turn the spacecraft and point it in the right direction. Of course, I'm still going to have to hold attitude on the surface retrograde because I don't have that capability. But anyway, have some fireworks. Well, okay, I was hoping we'd get a little bit more out of that, but, well. At least we made it to 27 science, and it looks like we completed a mess of things. Speed record, first reaching space, yay, completed a thing. How many more things do I have to complete? I only have that R1B, that launch on a suborbital trajectory and return. But at least we get some more science. Can research these things. That gives me the actual barometer and some decouplers, some linear RCS ports that might be useful, and this thing that I think is just a fairing of some description. It won't actually allow me to use universal storage modules, mainly because I haven't unlocked them yet, and those are noisy birds. So, let me go ahead and just kick things to the end here. I'd kind of expected things to go a little bit longer than they did, but didn't exactly do that for me either way. We had a great episode, so if you liked it, thanks so much for tuning in. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, check out Twitch, Discord, and my website in the description. If you really like us, and I really hope you do, please consider supporting us on Buy Me a Coffee, my website, or the Patreon. I get by on the merch and donations that you guys get. In the meantime, though, this is Irinia from Studio 9 signing off. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.